This is the movement. The movement.
Personal component part of Alonzo,
which is rare.
Exactly, and I'm gonna tell you, not only is it rare, but even in pictures, even when you're marketing an event or a production or something you're doing, you are very subtle. You're like, everybody is
right.
You know what I'm saying? You're
right,
very low key. Even when I've come to the very few events that I've come to, it's still, you're the hostess with the mostest, but you're very, low key. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm sure the world would like to know, something deeper, something about the man himself. And, is there a woman? Why isn't there a woman? Have you been in love? Like, everything is so kind of frank business, stylish,
right,
charming.
right,
artistic,
thank you,
but very private.
Yeah,
to be so public.
That's some things you have to reserve for yourself, and I'm a firm believer that your home or your life sometimes doesn't have to be extended to other people, especially if it's almost like the more opinions people have, the more you will get.
Okay.
And so I'm a big minimalist. So I'm all about keeping it really tight.
How has that affected the people that have been in your life? Do they feel like you're keeping them quiet?
Yeah, that has arisen sometimes, but I feel that sometimes nothing good can come from you having such a public relationship, because again, sometimes you'll get opinions from people that have no idea about the whole situation or something else.
I'm making you nervous? Can you not look at me?
Yeah, it's always been a case.
It's a conversation.
Yeah,
right?
sure. Okay.
I know we have to stay in our frame and stuff.
A lot of times, yeah, like I said, it just, I'm not into the whole high school back and forth stuff, and then.
But why equate it to that? But why?
People have a tendency, because they know someone longer in a relationship or whatever, you're always going to pitch something if problems arise from your perspective.
Okay.
I could be totally wrong about something, but sometimes that also may form an opinion about that person you're talking about. You understand?
I think I understand.
Meaning that if I tell you, hey, I had this argument with my mate. She's blah, 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 this and that. So now when you meet her and see her, you already have that picture in your mind, like, oh, she really believes in this and that or whatever. And so sometimes it's unfair to that person.
I'm going to tell you how I have felt. I have felt coming to one of your events, who else does he like? Or who else has been in his company? I know I have felt like that, and I have not even been in a serious, committed relationship with you. Right. And I know I've come to something and been like, who's my competition?
But that's just your natural curiosity.
Have you heard that before?
Nah, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge.
Because I feel like friends and women sometimes can feel like we have ownership over our friends.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
It's not just women though, guys. Guys do it too. you know, sometimes like, I've in my case, when we've hosted things with a female doing her birthday party or whatever, you'll see ex-boyfriends or love interests or someone that has a crush show up.
Right.
And feel like his presence, or it's almost like, oh, I'm going to show my presence here just in case there's another suitor.
Right.
That they'll feel as though it's very territorial. Oh, let me see who she's talking to.
But no, but I mean you, as far as like being in this public eye and having events. I feel like if me as your friend can come to an event and feel like, well, he's known me longer, or that's my friend, that's not your friend, or you're a groupie, you know, and how dare I feel like she's a groupie? I don't know the situation, but I'm like, but you can't know him like we have this ownership, like, well, he's my friend, you know, so then we have to show that extra little hug or that extra little kiss because he's my friend, you know what I mean? Yeah. So how do you deal with that? I'm sure that I'm not the only one who's come to an event and feel like I have some type of ownership, right?
Well, everybody individually has their own way of dealing with those situations, and it depends on what relationship you have with that person. I mean, it's also too the reverse, where you know someone that you were seeing comes and they bring someone you know with them. You know, you can't.
Has that happened?
Oh, of course it has.
And how did you feel?
It all again goes back to how I was dealing with them. If I wasn't serious about them, I can't. It was, of course, in your mind. It's just maybe a tinge of, oh, that's who this person is dealing with. But if you aren't thinking about them seriously, you can't feel away. So that would be selfish.
So have you ever felt that about someone that you were in a serious relationship with, and then you saw the new guy?
That's never happened.
Okay.
It's never happened. One, I don't know if there's like a ex-girlfriend witness protection program, but they just disappear and they don't come back into my social circle. Okay. Sometimes, you know, I don't really, and I think I've discussed this with you, I don't really meet women at my events.
Which is crazy to me because you have such beautiful women, at least physically, at your events. So it's amazing to me with the amount of things that you guys do that you don't meet women to date at your events where there's floods of beautiful women.
Well, I mean, for me, you know, it goes beyond physical attraction.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if you know anything about Virgos, but I'm just a very observant person.
Okay.
And I like to have a little bit of history behind the person that I'm attracted to. Okay. Because I've had instances where I'm attracted to someone, but that doesn't necessarily make them attractive because they're, you know, whether they have a bad attitude or they're just, you know, for lack of a better word, just a mean-spirited bitch. So I don't really indulge in too much of that. And then too, you never know, you know, you don't want to step on somebody's toes because our social scene, even though it's a lot of people, it's very small. So it's like you wind up, oh, that was someone you knew, ex-girlfriend or this and that. So just history or whatever. Not that sometimes that should even matter because their history is yours, but it just sometimes just avoid awkwardness with people.
So 9, fairly attractive, fairly smart, beautiful black men in this big world that is small.
Right. Correct.
How is that challenge in regards to you guys having sex or being intimate with same women in the circle, overlapping of relationships? Does that happen? If it has happened, how did you guys deal with it?
That hasn't happened.
Really?
In
all this time?
No, not as the Block Association. It might have happened before we became the Block Association, and by, you know, coincidence, we'd find out that someone from our group dealt with someone else, but not during the Block Association.
Okay.
So
even in the nightlife, when you got chick here that, because you know we know women who like to, you know, pin brothers, fellas, friends up against each other. You guys haven't had any sisters that come down and try to play one off of the other? Well, I'm on his list, or he bought me this drink, or...
that has happened.
And then how did y'all deal with that?
We joke and laugh about it all the time because...
So what is your feeling when you joke and laugh? What is your opinion of the woman who's behaving in such a manner?
We know what time it is. We know what it is. It's like, you know, we're not possessive guys. You know, at the end of the day, you women own the equipment. So it's by you guys' choice. You know what I mean? Of what you decide and who you decide to spend time with.
Well, you say that, but I know of a situation where there's a woman who, because as you put it, we control or we have that ability, or at least you guys are telling us that. But I know of a sister who has been attracted to you for some time, and in her mind, it's been more of you that has not taken the realm, or in a sense, not her who supposedly has this control.
You will have to explain better than that to me. I don't know. I think there's been instances where it's about timing. You know, I'm a person that I don't like to waste my own personal time, and I don't like to waste someone else's time. So if I can be transparent with that person to my best ability, I'll do so and let them know. You know, oh, well, time isn't right, or if it is, blah, blah, blah. You know, if you're talking about the same person I'm talking about, you know, I think the times that I have shown interest, the person decided that they wanted to go back to their comfortability. And so there was nothing I can do with that. You know, she knows what's best for her, or maybe she doesn't, but it's still up to her to make those decisions.
So you did bring it back to her in control in a sense then?
Sure, to what I best can do.
Okay.
And that's all I can do.
Okay.
You know, things take from there. I think, you know, it's always a mutual thing between two people, always. You know, but it never is even. Sometimes someone will start off liking one person more than the other, and then that other person will catch up, or vice versa.
So, knowing that, do you feel like you came to a point in your life that you kind of figured that out? Or do you think you've kind of always been like this laid back, kind of optimistic, you know, glass half full kind of dude where I'm not really going to trip?
Yeah, only because
Or is that a Virgo thing, you think?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
even, you know, I don't want to group all Virgos
Good, okay,
into
so I
one
don't
thing.
know about Virgos too much. So you, going back to you, has that always kind of been?
Well, it started just when you just mature, or you've gone through some type of just a variation of relationships where you know out of those, the good ones and the bad ones, what's best for you.
Okay.
Because, you know, for me, when you get a certain age, it's just about really companionship.
Okay.
That's all it really is. Unless, you know, I'm not, you know, one of those guys that, oh, I want my spouse to help me pay my bills, or I need a spouse to do. Those things are good, but in the long run, you guys are spending time together. And I tell people that I deal with, for me, it's about experiences. I don't want to be with someone and I hadn't had an experience, whether it's a trip somewhere, whether it's learning a new food together, from something very small into something very dramatic.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Because recently I've been having a shitload of conversations with women who say that men don't understand or have the concept of dating. So when you brought up just now, you know, sharing something as a new dish with someone, what do you do? What, from a simple level to something extravagant, do you do or have done or would like to do when it comes to dating? Or do you do those things with the person you're involved? Like, do you date the person you're involved with, or do you believe in dating prior to getting into a relationship? Like, what's your thoughts on dating?
I think you should just try people out in different scenarios. Say, for instance, you're out on a date, right? And you're interested in this person, but you notice that the person is treating, you know, the workers or service people like extremely
So you pay
rude.
attention to that?
You have
You
to.
as a man. pay attention to the way that the woman is interacting and treating people. Really?
Only because
let them know that. I don't think women think, because I really don't think women believe that men even pay attention to anything.
Well,
I think that women take for granted.
We're lumping.
But I think it's fair to lump, because I think if you meet enough people or you hear enough people say something, you know what I'm saying?
I'm a different individual.
Okay.
Some people, what I'm saying, they wouldn't care.
Okay.
They wouldn't care only because it depends on their level of attraction for someone.
Do you date women?
What do you mean? Do I? That's the only women that.
All right, not date. Okay, I mean, do you date? And I don't mean like a few dates, and I mean like do you take a woman to hear music, or you know, or see a poet, or see, you know, I mean something out of the norm, like not that first date out dinner, second date to the movies, and then I'm done because by the third date I'm trying to get ass.
It depends on the individual. It really does. Only because some people, you have more interest in, and some people you don't. And two, you don't want to do generic stuff with somebody that you have interest in.
So I'm going to ask you this because I know you. Between work, the Block Boys, now your pop art, right. Prior to the pop art, the other type of cinematology, the other work that you incorporate, music, production. When do you even have time to date? I think that's the real question, because I don't even know if it's do you date, but do you make time to date because of all the other things? Because I also remember you saying that, you know, there's certain things, and I've heard most men say this, there's certain, and now some women, that they're trying to get, not trying, they're getting their life, or they're getting their ducks in order before they engage or take on a relationship. So with all the things that you do, how do you, if you at all, fit in dating?
Make the time. If you're interested in someone, you just have to make the time.
Do you make the time if you're interested in someone?
Definitely.
Okay, like, well, I'm not talking on a general.
And initially, if I'm getting to know that person, I try to bring them into my world.
In what way?
Just like, say, for instance, if I'm with the artist that I'm working with, if we have studio time booked, I'll invite them to the studio. Okay. You know, just for them to get an idea or opinion.
I've never been invited to the studio.
I wouldn't.
Chris Frost, they
what else? You know, or an event that I'm doing, I think they would be interested in, which is tricky sometimes. It hasn't happened to me, but I've seen instances where people invite somebody that you're interested in to an event that you're doing, because you don't have the time. Then they're there meeting other people. So you just have to know, you know, is she there for me, or...
What's that thing R. Kelly said in one of his songs, don't bring beach to the water?
Beach to the water.
No. Bring sand, thank you. Don't bring sand. It was a song, if you don't bring sand to the beach. Right. You've heard that saying before?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. I've heard it in a different way, though.
In what way?
Well, I guess it's the same way around that. You know, just, you know, if a guy is somewhere and he's with, there's going to be multiple females, why are you bringing sand?
I think I've even heard that with you. I think I was with an event with you and your mans, and we was in a car going home, and somebody said that. I feel like I heard that.
Probably. Sometimes, like I said, with me, it's difficult only because I'm so hands-on at my events. I don't like the person that I've invited to feel like
you left them alone.
They're neglected, or left alone.
Right.
And nor do I feel like being a bodyguard the whole night. Because, you know, if it's an attractive woman from the bathroom to the bars, it's just a lot. So I don't sometimes want that person to deal with that.
How did we get into the whole pop photography or pop art that you're now doing? Like, where did that evolve from?
Boredom.
Really?
Yeah.
First of all, you do 50,000 things. When are you bored?
I like to reinvent myself.
Okay.
And so I get bored sometimes, and just maybe bored is too broad of a
But
word,
I think I
but
understand. Okay.
I just like to challenge myself,
Okay.
like with every.
So boredom or wanting to reinvent yourself, as you say. Okay, so you were already doing photography. Why did you decide to do pop art?
Only because, just as a black man.
Oh, what does that mean?
That means that it's very few selective things as far as the extent. Like, what's a famous black photographer right now?
A black famous photographer?
Right. Like that's doing like shoots for GQ and.
I couldn't tell you.
Right. So what would my aspirations be as a photographer? Like what would I set my goals for? Or who can I set my aspirations to if there are better photographers than me that's looking for that type of work? Understand?
I think so.
Like, what do I strive for?
Okay.
You know, you can be one of those persons like, I'm going to be that person that gets.
Okay.
But I know my skill set with photography, it's more artistic. My art or photography is very personal to me.
I was going to say that because you have a very sarcastic demeanor. I know that this is not the first time you've heard that.
It's my second language. That's who I am. But sarcasm has its foundation in being observant. People always say that, yo, how did you, like, it's clever. And it's only because I'm paying attention to everything. Okay. And so I just find the irony and the humor in something that's.
But it's not always received well, Al.
It's not meant to be. Sometimes it's just delivery, or it's individuals. Some individuals may be sensitive to just realist, or sarcasm. Right. Some people don't like to be wrong at all, especially wrong publicly. Okay. So that's where sarcasm comes in. And also sarcasm helps me to keep this cool demeanor that I have.
Does it?
Yeah, because I don't get angry. I just look at it.
But people are getting angry with you because they want to punch you in your face.
I've never had that instance. Okay. I mean, they've gotten probably upset, but, those are people, even my close friends know that's just how it is. Yes. And they embrace it, and that's why they're my friends. They embrace it and love it.
So before we close, there's something I've been wanting to ask in this session from the beginning, but I kind of wanted it to evolve into this question. Right. So you've been able to do a lot. You've been able to accomplish a lot. You've been able to live a little. Mm-hmm. 40 plus. Right. When did you get officially on your own? How old were you? That you were being responsible just for yourself.
I'm very young, because I started possibly my last year in high school, so I want to say 18. So you moved out on your own at 18? Well, my father and my mother, we're at my father's house now, if you didn't know the background. Separated, and so at the time, Bed-Stuy wasn't what it is now. Okay. And so out of protection, I think he just wanted the house back to himself, so he could live a bachelor life. I went and stayed with my mother, and then she moved out, and that's how I took over where I was staying.
Oh, okay. That was your fam. That was your. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So how old were you when she moved out?
I want to say probably 1920.
Okay. So 1920. I'm gonna give you the first 2 years. 21. At 41, tell me one thing, one lesson you've learned at 40-something that you wish you knew when you were 21.
Never shortchange yourself.
What do you mean?
Meaning that if you have the confidence or you have the audaciousness to do something, then it should resound with everything in your life.
Can you give me an example?
Meaning that whether it's a job that you're going for, a relationship that you want to be in, you have a certain level of self-worth to yourself. Don't allow someone from the outside to shortchange you of it. Just keep believing that.
Why would that be the lesson you wish you knew at 21?
Only because I probably would have gotten where I'm at now quicker.
Okay.
You understand?
I do.
Yeah, because I always wanted to be the background person. And I had a habit of helping others get to where they needed to be and not myself. So it was only until I was
I know that story.
20s, I was like, yo, if I'm this great for other people, why am I not doing X, Y, Z?
To you, there's an attraction, there's a draw that people have to you. Why do you think that it's just now triggering that, like, oh, let me apply this to me?
I think a lot of times, I mean, I can only speak for myself personally.
Right.
I was never one that sought the limelight or the spotlight, I would say. You know.
Is that why you wrote songs instead of being a singer? No.
Well, probably. For me, it's a lot that comes with it. And when you know that you're going to put yourself in there, you know that as soon as it turns on someone else, you're going to have to deal with all the backlash of, you know, people having, you know, people put their expectations on you too, you know.
Right.
And, you know, instead of just congratulating for you getting as far as you have gotten, people who have been like, oh, what happened? You were here and now you're down here. When there's some people that don't even get to that level or point. Right. But people feel they have to feel like, oh, now you're back down to earth with us. And so they try to push you further down. Instead of just being like, yo, always admired you doing for what you do because it gave me inspiration to do it. And that's what hold a lot of people back. It's just they don't initiate anything. They'll talk about a plan, they'll set up a plan, but
because you weren't necessarily looking for the limelight, do you think that was your hesitation?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So how are you now embracing that? Because the reality is, if you are a face, not only just a presence, but you are also a face that people want to see and touch, how do you now make that shift?
You just have to...
You?
Right, yeah. I just have to know that it's not going to get accomplished the way I want to unless I do it myself. And so with that, you have to start making connections with people, you know? I'm very, very... I have a partner that, I work closely with. He's very talkative. He'll call you up when he doesn't need anything and say, hey, how's your mom doing? How's this and that? Well, I'm a little bit more reclusive. Like, if I need something, then I'll reach out to you and speak because I try to be very self-sufficient, very self-sustaining. And my thought pattern is, if I am reaching out to you, trust me, that means I really need something because I don't really ask people for anything. So that's my philosophy. Like and it both ways work. It's a little bit meaningful for some people to be like, "Wow, this person reached out to me." Like, they're successful in my eyes. Why would they reach out to me unless they really need it? You know what I mean? That's it. Also, too, I just try to keep the favors down because you got to put out just as much as favors as you ask. You know what I mean?
Or be willing to receive, right?
Yeah, you have to be willing to receive those requests.
So are you not really willing to receive people asking you for favors?
To me, it's all about trying to balance commerce and art because, people will ask of your service, of your time, of your energy, and you have things. Speaking
of anyone in particular?
You have bills to pay. So
I think I got a bill with you now.
You know what I mean? So those are things that we have to, I'm all for trading services with someone if somebody has a skill set.
Well, I either owe you some services or I owe you some funds.
Tons. I'm not even going to go into your tab publicly, but we'll keep it at that.
And that's it.
That's it.
Thank you.
This is the movement.